December 1952, London experienced something so terrifying that it changed how the entire world thinks about air pollution. In just 5 days, a thick yellow smog would kill 12,000 people, 4 times more than died in the Blitz. And the most shocking part, it wasn't caused by some industrial accident or natural disaster. It was caused by something people did every day in their own homes. December 5, 1952, London was experiencing an unusually cold spell. Temperatures had dropped below freezing, and families across the city were burning coal in their fireplaces to stay warm. It was the most ordinary thing in the world. What they didn't know was that their daily routine was about to become a death sentence for thousands. But here's what made this different. A high-pressure weather system had settled over London, creating what's called an inversion layer. Normally, warm air rises and carries pollutants away, but an inversion layer acts like a lid, trapping all the smoke and fumes close to the ground. London was already one of the world's most polluted cities. Coal was everything. People heated their homes with it. Factories powered their machines with it. Power plants generated electricity with it. The city burned 1,000 tons of coal every hour. Every single hour. Plus, London had just converted its buses and taxis from gasoline to diesel. The city's new fleet of 8,000 diesel buses was pumping out invisible killers, sulfur dioxide, nitrogen oxides, and tiny particles called PM2.5s that could penetrate deep into people's lungs. By Friday morning, December 5th, something was wrong. The fog wasn't burning off as the day warmed up. Instead, it was getting thicker, and it wasn't white. It was yellow, sometimes even green or black. People said it tasted of metal and smelled of rotten eggs. Barbara Few, a 25-year-old secretary, later told reporters, "I left for work at my usual time, but by the time I reached the bus stop, I couldn't see my hand in front of my face. The fog was so thick, it was like walking through yellow soup. My throat started burning immediately. By noon, visibility was down to a few yards. Drivers couldn't see the road. Buses were abandoned in the streets. The airport closed. Even ambulances couldn't operate. But the real horror was happening inside people's bodies. Dr. Donald Atchison was working at St. Bartholomew's Hospital that weekend. He later wrote, "By Saturday morning, we were overwhelmed. People were coming in, gasping for air, their lips turning blue. We ran out of oxygen tanks. We ran out of beds. We were treating people in the hallways, on the floors, anywhere we could find space." The smog lasted 5 days, but here's what made it so deadly: it was invisible to the naked eye. The particles were so small, people couldn't see them. They breathed them in deep into their lungs, where they caused inflammation, fluid buildup, and essentially drowned people from the inside out. Nellie Daly, a mother of 3, lived in a modest flat in East London. Her daughter Patricia, just 8 years old at the time, later recalled, "Mum had been coughing for days, but by Sunday night she could barely breathe. Her chest was heaving, but no air seemed to be getting in. Her lips turned blue, then her fingertips. We called an ambulance, but they said they couldn't get through the fog. We watched her die on our living room floor, slowly suffocating. It took hours, but it wasn't just the elderly and sick. Healthy adults were dying too. Athletes, construction workers, even police officers directing traffic in the streets. The death toll was staggering. 1,000 people died on Saturday alone. By Monday, hospitals were using laundry rooms and storage closets as makeshift morgues. The smog was so thick that it seeped into buildings. Movie theaters had to close because patrons couldn't see the screen. Criminals took advantage of the chaos. Burglaries increased 500%, but most people were too afraid to go outside. They huddled indoors, not realizing that the deadly air was inside with them. By Tuesday, December 9th, the wind finally picked up. The inversion layer broke, the fog lifted, but the damage was done. In just 5 days, 12,000 people had died. 4,000 more would die in the following weeks from complications. It was the deadliest air pollution event in history. The British government's first response: denial. The Minister of Health, Ian MacLeod, told Parliament, "I see no reason to believe that the recent fog has caused any increase in mortality." He made that statement while thousands of death certificates were being signed. But the evidence was overwhelming. A young medical researcher named Dr. Richard Schilling had been collecting data. He proved that death rates had increased 300% during the smog. More importantly, he showed that this wasn't just affecting London. The same pollution was killing people every day, just more slowly. The government couldn't hide the truth anymore. In 1956, just 4 years later, Parliament passed the Clean Air Act, the world's first comprehensive air pollution law. It banned the burning of coal in homes, created smokeless zones, and regulated industrial emissions. Other countries quickly followed suit. But here's the most important lesson. The Great Smog didn't just change laws, it changed how we think about pollution. Before 1952, people thought of air pollution as a nuisance, something that made things dirty. After the smog, we understood it as a killer. Something that could murder thousands of people invisibly in their own homes. Today, London's air is cleaner than it's been in 500 years. But the battle isn't over. Cities across the developing world are experiencing their own air pollution crises. Delhi, Beijing, Mexico City, they're all fighting the same invisible killer that London faced in 1952. The Great Smog of 1952 taught us that the deadliest disasters aren't always dramatic. Sometimes they're as simple as burning coal in your fireplace. Sometimes they're as invisible as the air we breathe. And sometimes they're as preventable as passing the right laws and enforcing them. Because in the end, the Great Smog wasn't just a weather event. It was a warning. A warning that when we ignore pollution, when we prioritize convenience over health, when we let industry regulate itself, people die. The question is, are we listening? What do you think? Should governments do more to prevent air pollution disasters? Share your thoughts below. And if you want to hear about the disaster that changed how America builds its cities, subscribe for our next video on the 1906 San Francisco earthquake.